Hello everyone, it's George. Today I'm going to show you what I do to make my endurance mix. And I thought I would first start talking about why I decided to start making my own. I'm actually a huge fan of Flow formulas. I think this stuff is some of the best stuff that I've had. I did 20 scoops for a 10.5 hour gravel race down in Trinidad, which I didn't do very well in, but I essentially fueled myself entirely by Flow. But I think it was during that trip that I realized how expensive this is. So a bag of this retails at about $40, and you get about 15 servings, which is 30 scoops. And I have pretty close to burning through 2/3 of this in one ride. So I thought there's got to be a better way, and it wasn't until I was talking to a buddy of mine, actually, shouts out to Ryan Grimm, he gave me the tip to start using this bad boy here, which is Mike's Mix. This is massive. This thing is, was 8 pounds. I experienced how effective it is as a fueling source while also not experiencing any kind of gut distress. After that gravel race, I was able to eat just fine. I felt fine. I didn't feel like I was drained. It was essentially about as perfect of a fueling situation as you could ask for. My only problem with it was that it was just too expensive. So, I started doing some research, and I put together a little Google form here, which kind of breaks down several different fueling sources and how much it really costs per hour to fuel yourself with that. And that assumption is when you're consuming 60 grams of carbohydrates, I believe the max that's possible to be absorbed is somewhere between like 90 and 100, somewhere around there per hour. But that's something you actually have to train your gut for. My coach recommended anytime that I'm doing a ride or an activity that's longer than an hour and a half, it's really important for me to hit that 60 up to ideally 90 grams of carbohydrates an hour to make sure I'm fueled, not only for that ride, but what he told me really, I guess, struck me. He said when you're fueling on the bike, you're not fueling just for that ride, but you're fueling for the day after. And I think, especially in the off season when you're really trying to get the most out of your training sessions, and if you're doing like really hard long intervals on a trainer, making sure that you're fueling properly so that you can recover properly and be able to do those several days in succession is really important. If you're going to be buying some of this stuff retail, you're really going to be spending a lot of money. And I'm actually going to try something new on camera. I thought, well, that's not a fair apples to apples comparison, or in this case, blueberries to blueberries comparison. So I picked up this $4 package of Trader Joe's dehydrated blueberries. I went with dehydrated just because they're shelf stable. So I mean, if you have a hookup, you get freeze-dried blueberries straight uncut from the source, and you can just start distributing it. You can buy them in bulk. I mean, let me know if you got a super awesome dried blueberry connect. I would love to hear about it because $4 is kind of a lot. So I'll go ahead and get started. So I have it measured out, and I'm going to use this empty container here as kind of a mixer. And so for me to get 10 servings out of this absolute chonker of a bag, I gotta do 20 scoops. So I'm gonna have to count this out. 1, 2, 5. I found out that I'm exceeding the capacity here, so that's no good. I can't put anything else in there or shake it. Luckily, I'm a hoarder. You see some guy at a supplement store in St. Louis kind of hand sold me this stuff, and it just makes your drinks crazy sweet, but it seemed to work well. So I'm just gonna transfer that there in here. So I get that out of the way because that's all set. Next, I add fruit pectin. So I actually really love drinking Martin, but at $3.43 a serving for the 320 mix, I can't justify using that because that's absurd to spend that much. But I think I really like the gel-like consistency. I think they funded a study that showed that it was supposed to help settle in the stomach better because it's more gelatinous and it doesn't affect absorption from what it seems. And this also adds some sugar. So this is just sucrose, pectin, and citric acid. And I'm gonna do 10 tablespoons. I got my measuring spoons, and make sure you wear some serious kitchen protection. It's really important you don't ruin your clothes because you're working with some heavy duty stuff here. Let's see, okay, so I got 10 of these coming. So now that I got my pectin, looks like I'm just gonna do some sea salt. And sea salt's just hitting sodium amounts. I think it's something that's really important when it comes to hydration. You can experiment with your favorite ratio, to be honest. Right. So 10 doses of the sea salt is a 1.25 teaspoon. So I'm just gonna probably not do it over there in case I spill. I'm probably gonna spill. I spilled a lot. So I have to clean the kitchen anyways. I get to do it twice. Look at that. Even better. Okay, so I got my 1.25 teaspoon of table salt. And then the last primary ingredient is beta-alanine. Looking at 2.5 teaspoons. So I got my teammate Miles was telling me the other day during a training ride, he saw some studies, people just drinking straight up table sugar. I was like, that's maniacal. I can't believe that. But, you know, I don't think you can get any cheaper than just straight up table sugar. So if you guys have any experience with that, let me know. I mean, I'm always willing to change my process because this is always kind of a work in progress when it comes to perfecting, you know, your fueling strategy. And I will say, I think for the longest time I was focused on shorter events and fueling was just kind of a mystery to me. But now that I've taken it seriously and have like this set goal of carbohydrates per hour, which is right around 60 to 90 grams, it's been a game changer. So, you know, by the end of the ride, if it's like an all-day ride, I feel fine. I mean, obviously race criteriums that are anywhere from like an hour to at most, I think like an hour 10, hour and a half. It's really too short to, like, at least for me, to notice a need for fueling because you're just kind of in it. So I feel like I have a lot more leeway when it comes to choosing my fueling sources because it's really only being affected, it's really only affecting training. So yeah. Okay, so that's my primary mix. I can give that a shake, but I decided I was gonna try something new. I'm gonna do these blueberries, and yeah, you can do your favorite flavor. If you have a food processor, I think that would probably be best. I mean, you can just brown it up in a pestle and mortar, like a caveman with rocks. I don't know. No hate. I think this thing's awesome though, and we use it a lot, especially when we don't want to chop a lot of onions when cooking. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and get at it. It looks like it's a fine powder. Fine enough, I guess. Okay. And that's my flavoring. But like I said, the maltodextrin, it's pretty flavorless. The pectin actually adds, because I think of the sucrose, it adds a little bit of flavor. And you know, that Martin stuff, it's flavorless. I don't mind it. So yeah, if you really want to save a lot of money, don't add any kind of dried fruit or anything. So like, I did a little price delta in the cost of your fueling mix. So I think this is a pretty good mix. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, so it's a moment of truth. I have my water filter here because apparently Denver has a problem with lead pipes. So it's fine. I've always drank tap, but you know, they gave us filters for free. I'm gonna put, I don't know about that much. I'm obviously not being the most diligent with my my measurements here, but doesn't matter. I mean, no, at least to me. Okay, And I'm not sure if you see the time behind me. It's 10:21. This seems kind of reckless. Taking about 60 grams of carbohydrates, plus or minus some, because of the pectin in the blueberries. But, you know, I'm doing this for you guys. I'm really putting myself on the line here. All right, giving it a good shake. And that's great. So now I have 8 scoops ready to go. I'm just gonna put this back here. And I think I'll be able to tell the difference. All right, so if you've been mixing along, cheers. That's great. I prefer things not to be too sweet, which brings up another point. Like if you're not ready to make the full jump to, you know, straight up mixing your own mix like that, I would suggest buying this big ass bag of Mike's Mix maltodextrin and then just cut it. Go 50-50, 1-to-1 ratio with flow or really anything. And I think even then, you know, you're saving a pretty good amount of money. 267 with flow, 81 cent per hour Mike's Mix. You mix them, so what, you would just add them together, and that's going to be what, 348 divided by 2, so just call it 350, $1.75. At $1.75, you're already doing better than Tailwind, which is actually super affordable, and I was actually really surprised. So shouts out to Tailwind for keeping their nutrition affordable. But I don't know. I think another thing that you can do if you don't want to just mix with dried fruit, just buying Gatorade. I've heard a lot of people like to do that. I've shared this with some of my teammates, and I kind of want to take another one. That's great. Yeah. I hope this makes you consider, you know, your fueling options. If you haven't been fueling, doing that 60 grams carbs per hour, I would suggest just searching, you know, YouTube. There's plenty of people talking about it, how to hit that optimal range. So I'm just operating under the assumption that's what you should do. But you know, if I ever hear different and I have reason to believe otherwise, I'll definitely take that into account. But so if you're not already fueling, consider it. And lamenting how much you're spending on this stuff, I'd highly recommend doing this because that was really tasty. And you can get crazy too. I mean, if you really want, you can buy some caffeine powder, add it to it, like, you know, start your own supplement company. I don't know, and just say shouts out to George when you're, you know, making your Bang energy money. And that's about it. Leave a comment below. Tell me what your fueling strategy is. If you think this approach is stupid, let me know. And it's probably not the most constructive criticism, but if you have problems with it, I'd be happy to hear it. And yeah, I will see you guys later.